A new report says the high-speed rail between Toronto and Quebec City could deliver billions of dollars in economic benefits. The CD Howe Institute study found that the Promise line would generate between $15 and $27 billion in value for Canadians over 6 decades. It says the biggest chunk of that sum, up to a third, comes from user benefits, namely time savings and greater reliability than Via Rail's spotty train service. Along with the economic benefits to those living in the Toronto-Quebec City corridor, the line would also reduce greenhouse gas emissions and road congestion. David Jones, Senior Fellow at the CD Howe Institute, joined us for more on the report.
We undertook an economic benefit study for a new rail link between Toronto and Quebec City, and to estimate those benefits. They're not necessarily sort of cash savings, but we think of them as kind of broader economic benefits. We applied essentially sort of international kind of best standards on transport appraisal guidance for how methodologies for how you would get to those benefits. And they, broadly speaking, they're in 5 areas. So the first is user benefits in terms of time savings, and you can effectively attach a sort of monetary value to time saved from faster travel. That includes not only, for example, if the high-speed line is eventually built, that is quicker, but also that includes a reduction in delays that are felt by current Via Rail passengers having to share the line with freight. Secondly, there are agglomeration benefits, which are effectively by reducing the time spent traveling between 2 zones, even if 2 people are still located in the same place, they are effectively closer. It's a concept called effective density. So that means that labor markets are effectively more dense. Companies or entrepreneurs can meet and discuss more regularly. Then we found there were some emission savings. So transport tends to be relatively low emission compared to potentially displaced source of travel, so air and road. There is reduced congestion on the road networks. Again, there's a value of time attached to that. And finally, less traffic on the roads was forecast to reduce traffic incidents, so improved safety. So that's how we came up with those 5 areas.
We also asked for his response to the critics who argue that Canada doesn't have the capacity to build those big projects without going significantly over budget.
I'm aware of that claim, and I would say so. Firstly, I would say that's not unique to Canada. As I mentioned, I'm from the UK. We have plenty of examples of projects in the rail sector and otherwise that have gone over budget. I think sometimes there are, for example, the environmental and kind of planning considerations that are very important and have significant benefits as well. So kind of doing the proper consultation, environmental assessments. If you don't have those things, then you can do a project more cheaply. If you do have those things, then you are generating, societal welfare, but things might take a little bit longer. So there's that kind of trade-off. And then, yeah, I mean, in terms of the sort of where there are different ways in which projects can be structured. So the kind of P3 model, or sometimes you can have sort of direct tendering and the role of government and potentially sort of conflicts between different providers or kind of construction companies. So I wouldn't say that those problems are insurmountable. Those are challenges that major projects face almost internationally, and those are the areas that effectively require really good project management and kind of clear contractual relationships between the government and developers.